Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn Turkish Days Away channel. Herkese iyi akşamlar. So this is our next further random live class, and today's topic will be saying want to. Of course, here we talk about not necessarily want an apple, I want a car. No, our topic here, of course, is to talk about the verbs. You want to go, you want to do, you want to play, right? You want to say. So basically, this want to structure is different than just saying I want something, right? A noun, an object, and therefore this topic covers specifically how we say I want to verb, right? I want to do something, I want to play, I want to go. So let's go to our workpad and see basically the rules. And actually there are not many rules. The rule is very simple. We just have a very kind of a fixed structure that we have to apply everywhere. But whatever we use, let me just kind of have a note here. Whatever verbs we use in any language, right, and same is valid in Turkish, we always have different tenses for some kind of a verb, and we also have some different persons, right? We have first person singular, second person singular, so we basically have six also persons, and at the same time we have four different cases, right? We have affirmative form, negative form, interrogative form, and negative interrogative form. So whenever we learn something, try to keep this big picture in mind, because whatever you learn here, it might be just one side of it. Maybe I'm just talking about one person, or let's say first person singular, right? So you have to think about what is the second person singular then, and so on and so on. Merhaba Nur, teşekkür ederim, sen nasılsın? So basically, keep it in mind. I'm trying to always teach as broad picture as possible to provide some not only different persons, but also different kind of forms, negative, interrogative, and so on and so on. So just a kind of a small note, but covering all tenses in one class is difficult. But I'm always trying to cover at least all persons, right, and give an example of negative, interrogative, and so on and so on. Okay, so let's go with our class for today and start. See the rule of how to make I want to. Now the rule is very simple. We have to use any verb in infinitive form, okay, which means what? That we have to use the verb in Turkish language with mak or mek endings, right? There are always mak. There are only two possible ways, two possible forms of the verb in infinitive form. So either it's mak or mek. Yapmak, gitmek, right? Vermek, görmek, söylemek, and so on. So basically you have to add that infinitive form and then add the verb istemek with appropriate tense and personal endings, which means the verb about which the action happens doesn't change. It's just stable. It is only in the mak form. It is in the infinitive form, and what we have to change is just to change the istemek verb right here and add appropriate personal ending or tense ending, and make it, of course, appropriate form, right? Maybe affirmative, negative form, and so on. Nur, iyi olmana sevindim. Glad to hear you are fine. What else do we have to say about to want? When we use basically in English, right? When you want to say, for example, I want to go, I want to play, I want to say, that present tense in Turkish is usually used with what? With the present continuous tense form yor. So in Turkish, when you say I want to do something, we don't necessarily use the present tense endings ar, er, ir. So it is not about isterim, right? It is not isterim. We usually use the istiyorum, which means actually to mean present tense, as in English, we use present continuous tense yor in Turkish language. Not isterim, but istiyorum. Okay, that is a very broad practice, and I already told you in other classes that for many verbs that have a broad wide present tense meaning, like I believe, I want, right? I desire, I feel. We usually use them in Turkish language with the present continuous tense yor, not er, okay, not ya, ar, er, ir, and so on. So same is valid for the verb to want. We say istiyor, right? Not istiyorum, istiyorsun, and so on. Not isterim, not istersin, and so on. So don't forget this. For present tense, to mean present tense, we always use present continuous ending yor, and here we have examples, okay? So gitmek istiyorum here, the first example, it means I want to go. You don't say gitmek isterim. Gitmek isterim means different thing, okay? It will mean I would like to go, I would love to go, I would go. So gitmek isterim is not appropriate to say if you want to say I want to go. So gitmek istiyorum, okay? Gitmek istiyorum. Uyumak istiyor. So gitmek istiyorum is what? It is present tense, right? Meaning for the first person singular, I, for me, right? I. Uyumak istiyor. You see, it is always mak, mek, right? Mak, mek. Here boşanmak, gitmek, uyumak, and so on. So here we basically have uyumak istiyor. We have he, she, right? It's third person singular, and again it's affirmative. Uyumak istiyor. He, she wants to sleep. The next example here is boşanmak istiyoruz. Boşanmak is to divorce, and here it is istiyoruz means it's what? It's we, right? First person plural in the affirmative form. We want to divorce. Boşanmak istiyoruz. You see it's again mak, infinitive form, to divorce. Same as in English, right? Because in English we have also what? To divorce. It is infinitive here. To divorce means it's an infinitive form. To sleep is infinitive form, right? To go is infinitive form. So it is same structure as in English, but the only difference is that we use present continuous ending yor. Okay. For in addition to these are the examples. These three examples are what? Present tense meaning, right? They have present tense meaning. The other three I changed them to give you an example that it can also be in different tenses, right? Not only present tense but also different tense. So gitmek istedim means what? I wanted to go. So I wanted to go here is now we have first person singular, affirmative form, and also past tense, right? Gitmek istedim. So structure is same. It is infinitive form plus verb istemek, and then appropriate tense and personal ending. So here I didn't use istiyorum. I don't say present tense. I just say in the past tense. Gitmek istedim. I wanted to go. Okay. In the second example, in the fifth example here, I have what? Uyumak istemiş. Now I use the reported past tense here for istemek, for the verb istemek. Therefore, you say what? He, she reportedly wanted to sleep. So, because istemiş, mış, miş, muş, muş endings, this endings is about reported past tense. I use this word reportedly here just as a kind of parenthesis. So uyumak istemiş means you learn you hear from somebody that somebody it basically means somebody reports it to you, okay? Uyumak istemiş. Or you learn afterwards, because reported past tense also means what? At the same time it may mean that you learn something afterwards. So istemiş, uyumak istemiş, you learn something afterwards that he or she wanted to sleep. So you see here we have a different tense again. It's a reported past tense. Uyumak is structure same, it's infinitive plus istemek in the reported past tense. Uyumak istemiş, and this is of course third person singular, okay? Uyumak istemiş. He, she reportedly wanted to sleep. What about last example? Boşanmak isteyeceğiz. Now I made it what? I made this third sentence in the future form, okay? So this is now in the future. The last sentence, boşanmak is to divorce again. İsteyeceğiz is we will want. So istemek verb now is in the future form, future tense form, and it's also in the affirmative form, right? It's affirmative, not negative, not interrogative. Affirmative, but also a third person, first person plural, okay? We. İsteyeceğiz. Boşanmak isteyeceğiz. We will want to divorce. So these three examples at the end are there for you the kind of to see how we can also use the verb istemek or used kind of to mean something in the past tense and other tenses. But of course, if you talk about the present tense, it is always istiyor, right? Yor. Gitmek istiyorum, gitmek istemiyorum, gitmek istiyor musun, and so on and so on. It is always yor for present tense meanings. Okay, that is basically the structure. So nothing surprising, nothing kind of more than this that you have to learn about this. And let's now go to see some examples. Okay. So the first example here I had what? This is just structure with verb to be kind of and what infinitive plus the verb istemek, right? Here I added a bit more words. In examples I have a bit more words. I expanded the sentences. So here you have what? Eve gitmek istiyorum. I want to go home. And here of course this ending at the end eve is dative case, right? Which means to. So I want to go home or to home. In English it's basically home. So eve gitmek istiyorum. I want to go is this structure. Gitmek istiyorum. And then you can add where, right? To, for example, home. Or you can say sinemaya gitmek istiyorum. I want to go to the cinema. Eve gitmek istiyorum. So it's first person singular, affirmative, and present tense. Okay? I want to go home. Another example. Nedense ağlamak istiyorum. Ağlamak is to cry. Nedense means for some reason. So basically here it's again first person singular, istiyorum, right? Affirmative case and present tense. So three things. We always have to think about tense, person, and the form. So first person singular, present tense, and in the affirmative form. Okay. Yeah, present tense, affirmative, and first single person. Okay. So this is our second example. Nedense ağlamak istiyorum. For some reason I want to cry. Let's look at the third example now. Dönmek istemiyorum. Now I made it negative. Okay. It is again first person singular, but negative this time. Present tense negative. Dönmek istemiyorum. I don't want to return. Okay. Present tense negative, first person singular. We don't have any other objects here or any other words. So it's just the structure of I want to do something. Dönmek. Dönmek is to return, to come back. And that's basically how you say I want to return. I want to come back. Dönmek istemiyorum. İstiyorum is positive, affirmative. İstemiyorum is negative. Let's look at the fourth example. Now we have interrogative. Okay, it is interrogative for second person singular, you, right? Film izlemek istiyor musun? Do you want to watch a movie? Because in Turkish we don't have articles separately, we just add this kind of a article here. It means a movie, right? So film izlemek istiyor musun? İzlemek is to watch. So istiyor musun? It is interrogative for the second person singular, you. Film izlemek istiyor musun? Okay. Do you want to watch a movie? So you see again, it is for look at the structure. Gitmek, ağlamak, dönmek, izlemek. They are always makmek, right? Infinitive form. And for the verb istemek, you add tense, a person ending, and the form, whether it's affirmative, negative, or whatever. Okay. No questions so far. I'm also following your chat to see whether there's any question. Okay, let's go with our fifth example. Okula gitmek istemiyor musun? Now this example is about what? It is negative interrogative. İstemiyor musun, right? Don't you want? Negative interrogative. And here okula is again dative case ending a, right? Okula to where? To school. So this a here at the end is dative case ending. Gitmek is to go. İstemiyor musun is present tense, negative interrogative for first person singular, you. Okay. Don't you want to go to school? Okula gitmek istemiyor musun? If it was just interrogative, it will be what? Okula gitmek istiyor musun, right? But here it is don't you want, therefore it is istemiyor musun. İstiyor musun? istemiyor musun? Okay. Let's look at our sixth example. Kitap okumak istiyoruz. Now it is again affirmative, right? Not negative, not interrogative, affirmative. It is present tense and it is we. First person plural, right? Kitap okumak istiyoruz. Okumak is to read, and here kitap means a book. So it is implied, it is article A, basically. So very simple. Kitap okumak istiyoruz. We want to read a book. You can also say we want to read a newspaper, right? Gazete okumak istiyoruz, or istiyorum. Gazete okumak istiyorum means I want to read a newspaper. You can say kitap okumak istemiyorum. I don't want to read a book. Kitap okumak istemiyorum. Okay. That is how we say. And for this sixth example, again, it is present tense, affirmative, first person plural, we. Alright. Let's now go and read the seventh example. Seventh example here is doktor olmak istiyor. Excuse me. So doktor olmak istiyor is, you see, olmak here basically means become or be, but here it is mostly be, right? That's more appropriate meaning. So olmak is to be. İstiyor is what? It is present tense, affirmative for third person singular, right? He, she. So doktor olmak istiyor means he, she wants to be a doctor. You can also say he, she wants to, or we want to be a teacher, right? Öğretmen olmak istiyoruz. We, right? We istiyoruz. Öğretmen olmak istiyoruz. Or you can say I don't want to be a lawyer. Avukat olmak istemiyorum, right? Avukat is a lawyer. Olmak, to be. İstemiyorum, I don't want. I don't want to be a lawyer. Avukat olmak istemiyorum. Can we say, there is a question by Nur, can we say bir kitap okumak istiyoruz? Yes, that will mean really again a book, okay? So kitap okumak istiyoruz isn't different from bir kitap okumak istiyoruz in terms of English translation. So in both cases it will be we want to read a book, okay? But yeah, you can specify that, you can add that bir as well. It doesn't matter that much, okay? Kitap okumak istiyoruz or bir kitap okumak istiyoruz. The only difference here is basically when you say bir kitap okumak istiyoruz, it means we are really specifying to a book, okay, not a newspaper, anything else. Bir kitap okumak istiyoruz, right? Gazete değil, bir kitap okumak istiyoruz. But when you say kitap okumak istiyoruz, you basically refer to the action, the verb itself. It's about reading, right? Reading a book rather than swimming or something else. So when you say bir kitap okumak istiyoruz, there is not a big difference. But from the context, it may mean that you refer specifically not to a book, not newspaper, okay? But when you say kitap okumak istiyoruz, it is usually not about specifically book per se. It is about that you specify as an action, as a desired action of reading, right? You really are into reading now. I want to read a book, okay? But again, in writing, in translation, whether kitap okumak istiyoruz or whether you say bir kitap okumak istiyoruz, they both are translated as we want to read a book, okay? That article A is same for both translations. Alright, let's look at the eighth example, okay? Eighth example, sensiz yaşamak istemiyorlar, okay? Sensiz yaşamak istemiyorlar. Sensiz means without you, right? Siz, this siz, sus ending. There are 4 possible cases because of the vowel harmony. So sensiz means without you. Siz, sus ending. Don't forget. I think we covered it already in other classes, in our first classes, right? Live classes, how we say without you or with you. So this siz ending is to say without. Yaşamak is to live, and istemiyorlar, it is present tense, right? İstemiyorlar is present tense. It is affirmative, and it is plural, third person plural, they. Sensiz yaşamak istemiyorlar. Let's look at the ninth example. Now, zengin olmak istemiyorlar mı? Now we have a negative interrogative, right? The form is negative interrogative, don't they want. İstemiyorlar mı? And this lar is about plural, right? Zengin olmak istemiyorlar mı? Zengin is rich, olmak is to become or be. So don't they want to be rich, or don't they want to become rich? Both of the same, both of the meanings are translated into Turkish in the same way. So you will say olmak, okay? To be or to become, it is the same in Turkish. So zengin olmak istemiyorlar mı? Don't they want to become or to be rich? Okay? Or you can say we want to be poor. Fakir olmak istiyoruz. Okay, it's not question anymore. It's just affirmative for we, right? First person plural. Fakir olmak istiyoruz. Or istiyorum. I want to be poor. Fakir olmak istiyorum. Okay, let's look at the 10th example. Just a second. Bugün evde kalmak istiyorum. Today I want to stay at home, or I want to stay at home today. Bugün, today, evde, and this da-de ending is locative case ending. Remember, locative case. Da-de or ta-te, depending on the consonant. Kalmak is to stay, istiyorum is to stay, I want to stay, right? Kalmak istiyorum, I want to stay. Where? Evde, at home. Bugün evde kalmak istiyorum. So basically it is present tense. First person singular, affirmative form. Okay. Let's now look at 11th example. Let me scroll it up. Okay, there is no questions in the chat. Alright. So 11th example. İşe gitmek istemiyoruz. İşe gitmek istemiyoruz, right? Here again it's dative case, to work, right? Dative case ending a, and for iş it is e. İşe gitmek istemiyoruz. Don't want to go. It is negative, right? İstemiyoruz means negative. Present tense negative for we. First person plural. İşe gitmek istemiyoruz. If you want to say they don't want to go to work, işe gitmek istemiyorlar. Okay? İstemiyorlar. Let's look at the 11th example now. Sorry, 12th. 12th example. Just scroll up. Okay. Türkçe öğrenmek istiyor musun? Do you want to learn Turkish? It is interrogative, present tense interrogative, and it's second person singular, right? You. Türkçe öğrenmek istiyor musun? İstiyor musun is do you want, and öğrenmek is to learn. You can say evet, Türkçe öğrenmek istiyorum. Yes, I want to learn Turkish. Türkçe öğrenmek istiyoruz. We want, right? Türkçe öğrenmek istiyoruz. We want to learn Turkish. Okay. Let's look at the 13th example. Nerede yaşamak istiyorsunuz? Now, these examples that you have, especially 13th, right, and 14, 15 that you have in kind of below, this example have the question words here. Nerede, right? Where? It is a question word. Where is a question word, like why, who, when, and so on. So when you have question words, of course, that question is not repeated in the question, in the verb itself. You don't say nerede yaşamak istiyor musunuz, right? That's different. That's meaningless. So whenever you have these question words like where, why, when, who, you already by default have a question implied in that word. Therefore, even if we say do you want in English, in Turkish you don't have to say istiyor musunuz. It's just nerede yaşamak istiyorsunuz, where do you want to live. So that do you want is already here, okay? İstiyorsunuz, because it is already implied as a question from nerede. Okay, nerede means what? At where, right? Because it's this the ending at the end is a locative case attached to the word nere, right? Nerede, nereye gidiyorsun, which means what? Where do you go? So it is to where do you go, basically. When you say nerede, it means at where. Nereye gidiyorsun, where are you going, means where, kind of a to where are you going, okay? Or nereden geliyorsun, it is a done then ablative case ending attached to the word nere, which means what? From where do you come, or are you coming? So basically, nerede yaşamak istiyorsunuz? It is of course question here is interrogative, but we don't have interrogative structure musunuz here, istiyor musunuz, because again, just to repeat, a question is already implied from nerede. Yaşamak is to live, istiyorsunuz, it is interrogative, and it's for you, right? Let's make it kind of a big capital letter here, because it's second person plural, right? You, plural, or respectfully, formally you. Nerede yaşamak istiyorsunuz? And you can reply, for example, ben İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorum. I want to live in Istanbul. Ben, or just without ben, İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorum. Right? Or İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyoruz. We want to live in Istanbul. İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyoruz. Same is valid for themed example, where we have already question word. Question word here is who. Okay, kim. Kim pizza yemek istiyor? Who wants to eat pizza? Okay, kim pizza yemek istiyor? If you want to say, do you want to eat pizza? That will be what? Pizza yemek istiyor musun? Right? Let me just write it here for you. Pizza yemek istiyor musun? That is, do you want to eat? Right? So don't confuse. Do you want to eat pizza? But the example I have for you here is who wants to eat pizza, okay? It's not do you want to eat pizza. So kim pizza yemek istiyor is already question sentence. For what? For third person in general, right? Third person singular. Who wants? Because wants is what? Is third person singular. So kim pizza yemek istiyor? Who wants to eat pizza? But again, if you want to say, do you want to eat pizza? That will be pizza yemek istiyor musun? So istiyor musun, istemek verb here is then becomes in the interrogative form for first person singular, right? Alright, so don't confuse. Again, this is question words. Kim, nerede, where, who, how, why, and so on. Their structure is different than normal regular interrogative sentence. So let me just erase this not to confuse you. And let's go to our 15th example. That's also our last example for this lesson. Beni neden görmek istiyorsun? Why do you want to see me? Okay, again, you see here we have why, same as who here and where above. So therefore, again, this structures istiyorsunuz, istiyorsun, they are not regular interrogative verb forms. They are just implied. So beni neden? Beni here is accusative case of ben, right? Accusative case of ben. It gets the ending e here. The accusative case endings are what? I, uu, right? 4 endings. So beni here gets the accusative. Beni neden görmek istiyorsun? Why do you want to see me? So you see, görmek istiyorsun. It is again interrogative. First person singular. Second person singular, right? And what? The present tense. Okay. So here, all examples that you have here are the present tense examples. I didn't change the tense specifically, so that you only have these examples for present tense. Okay. I want to do something. I want to play. I don't want to play. Do you want to play? Do you want to? And so on and so on. So it is. All these examples are present tense examples. You have interrogative. You have negative interrogative. You have affirmative, and so on. And you have different persons as examples here. And again, you see the structure is what? Is want to do something, right? Want to play, want to go, and so on. If you just want to say a noun, an object, I want an apple, for example, I want an apple, right? It will be just very simple. I want an apple, right? You will say elma istiyorum. Very simple. Same as you have above, but only without any verbs. It is just noun, okay? Elma istiyorum. Or you can say pizza istiyorum. I want pizza. Okay, pizza istiyorum. But that's not our lessons. Our lessons for today was not this. I want pizza. Pizza istiyorum. Okay. Pizza istiyorum. I want pizza. Or if you want to say I want to eat pizza, which is our lesson for today, right? O zaman what? It will be what? Pizza yemek istiyorum. I want to eat pizza. Pizza yemek istiyorum. I want to eat. Now it becomes I want to eat. Not I want pizza, but I want to eat pizza. Okay. Now it is our lessons for today. Want to do something. All right. This was our lesson for today. This is I covered whatever I wanted to cover. If you don't have any questions, I will stop it for today. Let me just wait for a couple of seconds to see if there is any kind of question or comment, feedback, whatever. No. Can we say nerede yaşamak istiyor musun? No, we cannot say that. Nur, that's what I was saying exactly. That's why I specifically mentioned that you cannot have two different question structures in the sentence, okay? Because when you say nerede, it is already a question, so you don't say istiyor musun. That is wrong. It's not about choice. It's completely wrong, grammatically incorrect, okay, in Turkish. So you don't say nerede yaşamak istiyor musun. You either say yaşamak istiyor musun, right? Do you want to live? Or you can say, for example, do you want to live in Istanbul? İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyor musun? Okay, so that is correct, which means do you want to live in Istanbul? But if you want to say where do you want to live, then nerede already implies question, therefore we don't use that musun, that auxiliary, that complementary question word mı, mi, mu, mü is not used anymore, okay? You just omit it, you just drop it, and you use appropriate affirmative form with a respective personal ending, whatever you want to say, you, I, we, and so on, okay? So you can say, for example, İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorum, İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorsun, İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyor musun, İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyor musunuz, okay? Do you want, İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorlar mı, do they want, okay, to live in Istanbul? But if you say nerede, that becomes already implied question, okay? Nerede yaşamak istiyorsun, where do you want to live, or you can also say why do you want to live in Istanbul, right? Neden İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorsun? Okay, you see, again, there is no istiyor musun at the end. Because in neden, why already means a question. Therefore, we don't use that interrogative structure, mı, mi, mu, mü, at the end. We just use it in the affirmative form with the respective personal ending. Okay. Neden İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyorsun? Why do you want to live in Istanbul? Okay. Or you can say who wants to live in Istanbul? Kim İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyor? Okay? Kim İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyor? Who wants? Same as in English, you see. For specifically for who, it really becomes like same in English. Who wants? You don't say who do you want, right? Who does want to live in Turkey? You don't say that one. You just say who wants. That is exactly for Turkish. Kim istiyor? Okay? Kim İstanbul'da yaşamak istiyor? But for neden, nerede, there you have that kind of a structured English structure. Do you, right? Where do you want? How do you want, and so on. But in Turkish we don't have this two kind of to repeat. You don't want to repeat it, okay? Nerelisiniz hocam? That's a good question. I call myself a person from Istanbul, okay? So I usually don't answer the personal questions for several reasons, but you can call me Istanbul, okay? Istanbullu, a person from Istanbul. A person from Izmir is İzmirli, right? İzmirli, because the question is nereli, right? Nereli? İzmirli. Nerelisiniz? İzmirliyim. İstanbulluyum, and so on. So that is basically it for today, I think. Any other questions, Nur? By the way, anybody who still is not part of the channel, the Telegram channel, I encourage you to be there for kind of short notices, for announcements, for discussions as well. Right now we have 7 people having added themselves to the channel. I hope to see more of you there. Just kind of a reminder and an encouragement. So that's basically it. Okay. Alright, write your questions if you have any other questions after watching this video, of course, in the comment section. Whatever topics you want to be discussed in the future, I will also cover them if it is kind of a feasible topic. If no other questions, I'll see you in the further classes. Enjoy the evening, enjoy the rest of the week. Have a nice day. Bye bye.